Hello and welcome to Tier Zero Gaming, another arena draft with Mike. This is draft number 10. Today I am joined by my good friend Chris Thompson.
Hey,
Some of you may recognize him from his sweet tokens in some of our other videos. This is Kixar sitting next to me. How you doing, buddy?
pretty good, pretty good. I think this is the fun draft that you showed me, like the results of. So
Yeah, this one's pretty good. I'm excited for this one, but yeah. So we're getting into this one. We finished up the last one with an okay but not great draft. We had 6 expanding oozes.
okay.
Yeah,
I mean, what's we just six though, right?
just 6, only 6.
Just six.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. This card right here, 6 of them. Anyway, yeah, that is a pack one pick one flage, and as soon as it popped on the screen, we clicked on it, and then we briefly looked at the rest of the pack to see if there was anything else worth considering tabling, and we don't actually expect it, but there was an area auxiliary that if we get super duper lucky, we might get back on the wheel. Here we have Charge Bug versus Pinnacle Monk. That's kind of it if we want to stay on red white here. I like Charge Bug coming out in these aggressive decks.
Yeah, definitely. Like I was looking at the same one. I feel like I like go with the bug is over the monk in that situation.
Yeah, the monk being a land obviously has a lot of merits. This pack is not good for me. Now, that said, we took a Flage, and we really, really want to play the Flage. So
Trying to
I'm going
brush.
to try to take red and white cards until I am literally forced off of it, is my mindset coming into this.
Definitely not
So-
liking too many of the choices that you got on your third
this
pack.
pack is like it's relatively weak in general. Like realistically, the only card that anybody would be happy to play is the Breathe Your Last, and then like Solar Transformer is fine. Glimpse the Impossible is solid, but not necessarily what you want in Burrow specifically.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I guess I'm grabbing this Jolted Awake. I just want this like Boros card. This 3-bin charm is better than anything we saw in the last pack.
Yes.
We're still not seeing a lot of Burrows cards, though, which is a little concerning, considering we really would like to be playing this Flage if possible.
Exactly.
But
Like the commitment to the flage is kind of like what, like since you've already made the commitment to it, like trying to stick with it.
yeah, yeah. Otherwise, we could have just taken like double Breathe Your Last, or like even if we're not taking the Breathe Your Last, maybe take the Solar Transformers. We've seen 2 of those.
There you go,
and
yeah.
that just gives us good mana and potentially the ability to splash the Flage, even if we wind up white X or red X.
Correct.
But obviously, if you pack one, pick one a Flage, the goal is to play Boros. Yes.
We
yeah.
want this flage to hit the board.
And we want it to hit it consistently and easily, given all options.
Yes.
So we're reading the Necrobloom. This is probably one that you personally like, right? Like you kind of dig landfall type stuff.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the cards that when it came out, a lot of people were actually excited about like the Asban possibilities
Yeah.
that it was actually bringing because the landfall the ability of it in general
Yeah,
is
it being
just solid.
kind of like a weird Field of the Dead.
Exactly. And it's things like that, like when you actually have an interest and it allows you to it forces you into 3 colors, but
Yeah.
it is interesting to be in those 3 colors because
Yeah.
those colors do correlate with the landfall.
Yeah, maybe not so much in draft, but I know you personally tend to be a CEDH guy.
Oh, yeah.
And that card, I don't know if it's quite that powerful, but it's got some application.
It does. It definitely had people excited, and
Yeah.
you got a couple people who actually are trying to figure
Right.
it out, if you want to say it like that.
So real quick, the last couple picks that we grabbed in the draft here, we grabbed an on-color landscape, so that it is a red and a white landscape to help fix our mana, into a Dog Umbra, which we were super happy came around that, is coming around that late, considering, again, we haven't really seen much in the Boros colors. Now we have a choice between the Mandibular Kite and the Molten Gatekeeper. I really like the Kite when I'm trying to be the aggressive deck. The Gatekeeper is solid, but I actually prefer the Gatekeeper in decks more like Eldrazi, where you're spitting out a ton of spawn all at the same time.
Right. Abusing the actual ETB feature instead of just trying to go creature red zone, punch face. Yeah.
Expel the Unworthy, very medium removal spell, but it is a removal spell. It is, in the colors that we want to be in. So honestly, basically done with pack 1 here. We're excited that we have Flage. we are happy to have Thraben Charm, Charge Bug, Dog Umbra, Kite, and then we have some other cards that are playable. And that's not the worst place I've been in a draft.
No, it could be far worse.
We wheel some red cards. We're gonna
rip
slap
'em.
one into the deck until we find better cards so that we can cut them. And we're really hoping that by cutting off the Boros cards here in pack one, like we're really not passing anything. Boros. Wheeling the Thriving Skyclaw. It's not a great card, but these are the only two red cards that were in this pack, if I remember correctly. I believe this was the pack we took. What did we take out of that pack? The Thraben Charm, I think we took out of that pack.
Thraben Charm is the one.
And I think those were the only two red cards in that pack. So pretty happy that both of them came back around. It does seem like a pretty good sign, even though we didn't get much in pack one. That pack one was just maybe a little light on the Boros cards, which hopefully means we get paid off in the future packs.
Right. It definitely sends a good message, especially when people pass on. They passed on the 4 drops, so
Right. Yeah, and
starts to tell you a little bit that, like, maybe you're going to get away with having some red.
And I mean, neither of those 4 drops is particularly good.
No.
Pick oneing a Mandibular Kite is not, the happiest me that you're ever going to see, but like, there wasn't really anything in that pack that we want. And the Kite, again, is just a good way to get some evasion on your aggressive starts, where you get to start off aggressive, get some chip shot damage in, and then as the game progresses, just make sure that you have a flying threat almost at all times.
Correct. That good old evasion.
Yeah. Here we had Spawn Gang Commander versus Aether Revolt, and we grabbed the Spawn Gang.
I agree with that. That's what I was like. I definitely would want the Spawn Gang. I feel like in that
Yeah, if
one.
we had more energy cards, then I think it's right to take the Aether Revolt, but we
Yes.
don't, so it is what it is.
Yeah, we're definitely not on an energy.
Yeah, we go into Fanged Flames, which was a pretty easy choice, and now we've got the choice, you see me flicking back and forth there, the Conduit Goblin and the Area Auxiliary. These are two of the better cards in the Boros Aggressive Shell. I think the Conduit Goblin is just where you want to be, and honestly, one of the things to keep in mind if you want to get a little bit better, especially in the aggressive decks, if you have a choice between 2 cards, take the one that costs less mana.
That's fair.
Keep your curve low. It allows you to double spell faster and more consistently, and if you can do that, you are more likely to have those aggressive starts that you're looking for.
I think you made the right choice on the Unicorn on that pick, too.
Unicorn versus the Modal Dual Face land.
Yes, I definitely like the Unicorn more, because that's the thing about the Modern Horizons 3 bestow creatures this time around. Unlike how some people probably might have felt about them during the Theros block, I feel like
these ones are much better.
Much better, yes, way much better. Like, so you feel so much better about playing them, because like when you play them, they're a threat on the bestow end, and then when they drop, they're still a threat. It's wonderful.
Yeah, so we grabbed a Frogmere Enforcer that we really don't want to play. We have another landscape that's both of our colors at least. This Amulet is perfectly reasonable. Nothing really to say. The card is a good card. It's a little slower, but if you look at where we're at and what we're trying to do here, our curve is very low, which ideally we're going to keep it that way. You see me moving stuff around. Expel is just not really the removal spell that we want when we're aggressive, but if we need the removal spell, like if we don't wind up with much more by way of removal, we'll probably wind up bringing it back.
Right. It's better, and it's better to have something to nothing.
Exactly. But for now, we're going to try to move it into the sideboard and try to narrow this deck down a little bit. Interesting that I kept the Frogmere Enforcer in for now. I think my thinking on it, at least at the moment, is that I have the double Kite and the Sarpadian Simulacrum. So I do already have 3 1-mana artifacts, and there's a non-zero chance that Enforcer actually winds up being like
the full
a
cost.
reasonable rate.
Yeah.
Thraben Charm wheeling, pick 10. We're exceptionally happy about that. Thraben Charm is one of the better interactive spells in the Boros stack.
And I think we're up to 2 of them now? Yeah,
yes.
So we're up to 2 of them now, so that's even better.
Yeah, another on-color landscape. It's not that we need a lot of landscapes, but with the Spawn Gang Commander, we would like to have a permanent colorless source in play if we can. And the landscapes all being functionally dual lands as far as we're concerned.
Right.
Certainly helps.
Oh,
All the good cards in this pack are Eldrazi, and that's
that's a little disheartening. It's like it's good cards, but you're just like, oh, like
yeah, Null
I don't
Drifter,
know.
Territorial Color, and Horrific Assault all hanging out in this pack, and
Yeah,
like
that's frustrating.
nothing for the Burrow stack is a bit tragic. But I mean,
I
it is
was,
what it is.
I was looking at the elephant. Like, I know
Yeah.
it's not much,
Well, we don't
but there's
we don't even have modified creatures.
this is
Like
true.
I'm taking this Null
Just to
Drifter and I'm
rip it
just rare
away.
drafting it. Yeah.
Okay.
Like I don't expect to be playing this card. I'm not trying to get to 7 mana in this deck, but that pack just had nothing that I want to be playing. I'm not a big fan of the Elephant, the Solstice guy that taps stuff down. We're not really an energy deck per se.
Mm-hmm.
This pack is pretty easy Stump Stomp, but we're really hoping to find some more like, maybe another Conduit Goblin or another Charge Bug. Some more of these medium to high impact 2-drops.
Right.
And in a perfect world, we get past like Galvanic Discharge or another Fanged Flames or Reiterating Bolt. Some of these like
It's
premium
insane.
red removal spells.
Yeah. Like the things that can actually allow us to do things on
As opposed to just trying to set up combats.
exactly.
Yeah. Here we have another Unicorn over
Let's
a Void
go.
Pouncer. We already have a Void Pouncer. I think the Unicorn is better in general. That's a
Oh.
pick 4 Glyph Elemental.
I love that.
And we do have 4 landscapes, which
Yes.
makes the Glyph Elemental that much better. Even if we're a land light deck, the ability to have 4 lands that we can and past me is pointing that out to remind present me to mention it.
I love Glyph Elemental was by far one of my favorite cards from the Modern Horizons 3.
Yeah, I think that card's very, very good.
Super good. Like even in limited, like you said, because you can still get the lands, and it just
Hey, you remember how we were talking about which cards we kind of wanted?
Hey,
How
look-
about we have
look at
all
that.
of them all in this same pack?
well, we're
So there's Fanged Flames, Proud Pack Rhino, Conduit Goblin, and Reiterating Bolt. And just in case that wasn't enough, there's a Dog Umbra and an Inventor. So that, like, that's one of those packs where we're just like, can I take this pack and nothing else for the rest of this draft? And I would be totally happy to do it.
if only.
Yeah, obviously that's not how draft works. We're taking the Conduit Goblin. Like we took
We
the
took the
Conduit
common.
Goblin.
I believe that was the right choice
Yeah.
too, because like if anything, like you getting more creatures to hit board is not a terrible thing.
Right. We follow that up with an Inspired Inventor, which I'm perfectly happy to have. Inventor's Axe is fine. We do have the Amulet as well to make use of some of that energy. And because the Axe has Flash, like, just getting it in play sometimes is good enough. I think I have one in my sideboard already. It's not a card that I'm really looking to play, but it's fine.
Oh look.
There's a pick 8 Conduit Goblin. So remember we said we really, really wanted to see something like a Conduit Goblin? We're up to 3 now, which makes me feel significantly better about our chances in this pod.
Yeah.
Triple Conduit Goblin, a deck that is almost explicitly 2-drops with like Flage and a Commando on the Spawn Gang Commander on the top end. And that's it. Like, I can cut these 4-drops and not even bat an eye about it. We can go down to, like, a 15-land deck and be completely okay with it.
Loving just all the pickups right there at the end. Too.
Yeah,
Like,
we just got playable cards.
Yeah, we got another Simulacrum and everything. It's like the whole play. It's like the whole plan's just coming together.
Yeah,
Like-
Pack 3 definitely paid us off. Like, we kind of stuck to our guns a little bit in Pack 1 and had a kind of medium Pack 1. Draftsmith not even bothering to suggest playing any different colors. It's just like, yup, you're playing Burrows. And I'm like, yup, I know. It thinks that I should be playing the Zealot and the Skyclaw over the Sarpadian Simulacrums, and I don't think I agree. It also wants me to play the Wastes because, for whatever reason, Draftsmith has a fascination with putting all of the non-basics that you draft into your deck.
okay.
And
We don't.
Yeah,
agree
I
with
don't.
that.
I'm not doing that.
we
either.
don't agree with that.
I'm not doing that either.
If I want the colorless, my like
I have
these
all
tap
these
for it.
landscapes.
Exactly. These
Exactly.
landscapes do this for me. I don't need
Yeah.
the waste.
Yeah, so again, the Zealot and the Skyclaw, I don't really have much by way of energy payoffs. Like, don't get me wrong, I have a bunch of goblins that are going to allow me to use some energy. That's it. That's that and the Charge Bug. And then we have the one unstable amulet. And we have the Inventor's Axe that can slap itself on a guy later
Right.
And that's all fine. I will do all of those things with my energy, but I don't think it's worth adding these kind of medium
Additional.
little clunky cards,
Right.
especially not when my curve is so low and so aggressive. I think the Skyclaw is worth considering, but I don't really want it very much.
Not to mention, the other thing is like you could literally
Yeah,
not use any of this energy, and everything is still going
true,
to be
true.
pretty fine. Like the game plan is still there,
Yeah.
even without that energy
So
being used.
at the end of the day, we cut the Frogmere Enforcer, which I think we both knew was coming. We decided to add the Skyclaw back. It is an evasive threat. It is now the only 4-drop in the deck. And we trimmed a land. So, and again, this is a very low to the ground aggressive deck. I think we're on, I believe it was 16 mana sources counting the Stomp,
Okay.
which should be more than enough.
Yeah, I could see this.
We also have 5 1-drops that we're happy to cast on turn 1 in this deck. Sorry, 4 that we're happy to cast on turn 1 plus an Inventor's Axe.
There we go.
Yeah. So.
And we know at least 2 of them boys just likes to go ahead and go be speedy boys. So
Yeah, 2 of them are speedy boys, and 2 of them are flyers.
There you go.
So,
Either way you look at it, it makes you feel good about it.
yeah. So, opponent appears to be Orzhov, leading on a quest for the Necropolis, which is the reanimate that gets cheaper as you hit landfalls.
Got you.
So, this card, I've
Ooh.
never really been impressed by this card, but it's not like the worst thing I've ever seen either. So, I would love to develop my board more, but we do have this exile spell that can clear this gargoyle. Yeah, so this is a good way to get some of our energy used and to be able to attack in. We play the charge bug, we give it haste with the goblin, and then we use the charge bug to give the goblin menace. So we get in for 5 points of damage through a persisting blocker, which is nice. And we're still holding up this expel, so realistically next turn we can kind of do the same thing if our opponent doesn't do anything.
Right.
We can still just be attacking. We have this expel. We also have Void Pouncers, Amulet, Thraben Charm, and Skyclaw, all of which are plays that we can make. So yeah, I like just getting in here. I just want to push damage.
Yeah, push it with it. Yeah.
Yeah, we can give it haste with the goblin. We don't have to attack with the other creatures. Opponent has a Dog Umbra, which is fine because what that basically means is that we didn't spend the 3 energy to give it a +1/+1 counter. So we still get to get in for 4 here by virtue of giving the goblin menace.
Right.
So
And now,
we lost 1 energy giving the Skyclaw haste, but got back that energy by virtue of the Skyclaw made energy when it came into play, and we didn't wind up using any of that.
and realistically, we're still in the same game plan to a degree because we still have 3 energy on the board.
Yeah,
So
we still have energy. We can still do stuff. We drew another,
another
way
removal.
yeah, and another exile removal as well,
which is relevant, super relevant right now. Like I think that's like the good part about this. Like it's exile removal. It's
Yeah.
not just removing it from the board.
Right. Opponent put a persisting creature into play, and the fact that we don't necessarily care about it and haven't had to care about it despite being an aggressive deck is nice. It's a good place to be. So opponent searching for an instant or a card with flash, but not having a black mana up here means they're not doing anything like Eviscerator's Insight or similar, which was kind of the only concern we had. One thing that I could have done here if I had wanted to is play the Void Pouncer and get in for some extra damage with haste from the goblin, since we know our opponent found a kill spell. But I think we're just getting in for 3 points of damage. I don't think we're going to use any of our energy because none of it needs to be used right this minute.
Correct.
So we're just going to get in for 3. We can Thraben Charm down this quest for the Necropolis if we want to. We can also just, like, we know our opponent has this Breathe Your Last, so we know something is going to die. We can also Thraben Charm down the Dog Umbra.
That's what I was more so thinking about too. Like if you developed it, for your, I know you mentioned like say maybe you should have done it then, but maybe it's also a good opportunity of like letting him see what he's going to do with his mana first prior, and then you can go into the Void Pouncer plus the Thrabian Charm.
So if I draw land, I can kick the Void Pouncer. So I think my concern here is if I don't do this now, then I can't kick the Void Pouncer if I draw the land.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And we did draw the land, and we didn't play the Three-Man Charm. That said, our opponent only has the one black source up.
Okay.
So they can't actually use that Breather Last right now.
Right. Which
And
is
now
good.
we're presenting lethal.
There we
Like
go.
this is a lethal attack. So
What I was kind of wondering, like, other elements he might be able to do with, like, his own, since he had the white and double blue open as well. It's kind of like, what else are we gonna?
yeah, but if they spent their turn tutoring for the Breather Last and haven't played a removal spell yet this game, despite everything that happened,
Probably the assumption that
it's a good bet that they don't have a
Yeah.
kill spell, at least at the moment. Well, besides the one that we know about that they tutored for.
Right.
And they tutored for one that they couldn't play.
Which is
Which,
weird.
yeah.
It's a little awkward, but
They might have thought they had more time than they actually did, but I'm happy to diminish that amount of time.
go ahead and present him with the good things.
Yeah, exactly. So this hand is just nice and cheap and low to the ground, and I love everything about it, right? We're just turn 1 Kite, turn 2 Goblin, turn 3 we can go Goblin plus slap an axe on something.
Love that.
Except for this Amped Raptor that blocks incredibly well. It does, however, miss on its Pseudo Cascade, which is great for me. But yeah, so I think we're just on Axe up the Flyer, maybe play another Goblin, or play another Kite and hold on to the Goblin.
That's what I was wondering. Like, I was thinking more so the kite as well, right? Like, if you went with the kite, you could do the kite, and have that for for the following.
Yeah, I just want to... I think I just want to get in some damage that I know my opponent can't interact with at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And if they want to be killing off a Germ token with a removal spell, we're very okay with that. Yeah, we're just using our energy and pushing 5 damage here.
Okay.
This 1 mana 1/1 with flying is in for 5 on turn 3. Like,
Let's go.
that's it. He has a job.
He's doing his best.
So opponent has no plays here, which means that I don't want to spend any more energy.
Okay.
I'm not going to try to pump that germ specifically. This one, however, I will happily give haste to.
So that we can at least get in there.
Exactly.
For 4.
So we're probably not going to double energy here.
Or 5, sorry.
Or we are. And we're just going to attack for 6.
Oh.
Yeah, I think maybe I should have saved 1 of that energy, but I guess I still have 2 in the bank. It's reasonable to just attack with both of them as 3/1s.
Mm-hmm.
Block the one that has the axe on it, which makes perfect sense to me. That one costs me energy to equip. And then the question of whether I want to spend the energy. And this is why I said a moment ago that I think I might have wanted to hold on to 1 of the energy that I had, because now I'm completely out.
Yeah.
But we have our 4th land, so next turn, even, like, barring anything else, we can still kite and suit up 1 of the goblins and be getting in for 6 again.
Which puts that pressure back on.
Yeah.
That we've lost a little bit of. And then it actually lets the goblins like have a use instead of just sitting here waiting to see
Exactly.
if a raptor runs into it or something.
But this is what we talked about a minute ago with my opponent having to trade with a germ token.
Yes.
That's what happened, right? Like, opponent was forced to pay 3 mana to cast a spell, and all it did was trade with a germ token.
And I'm pretty sure that's like a feel bad for them in that aspect, despite the fact that it's pumped up. But yes,
Right.
it's still feel bad. Like, yeah, I traded creature for a
Yeah.
token.
So remember we said we wanted these landscapes in the deck not just because they find both of our colors, but because we have the Spawn Gang Commander and we want some number of colorless sources?
Absolutely.
That appears to be coming up.
I'm here for it.
Yeah. One play that we could have theoretically made is pre-combat, play the Spawn Gang Commander, and then nuke the Raptor and attack with everything. But that costs us all of our spawn tokens.
Okay. Yeah.
And potentially, if our opponent has an Aether Spike or similar, we don't resolve the Spawn Gang at all.
And
so
that
right
feels
now,
bad.
we still have pressure that our opponent is forced to deal with. So it behooves me to let my opponent just have to deal with this kite, rather than provide additional threats when we're already presenting a clock.
I can see that.
So if they tap mana to deal with this germ token again, then we just play the Spawn Gang Commander, and then we get to untap with it and all of the germs associated with it.
And that's kind of what I was wondering if he was going to be
Or,
able to do
excuse me,
it
Scions.
regardless, because he's had the red and the blue held up specifically,
Yeah.
and it's just like he making you wonder a little bit. It's like, what do you have?
Yeah. So one thing that could go horribly wrong here is opponent is 1 mana away from potentially playing a Rouse.
Rouse, yeah, yeah, that
But
would
if
feel
they're
bad.
playing this utter insignificance, this feels pretty okay for me. We have a couple choices here. We can throw the Spawn Gang Commander at the Raptor to clear the path, or we can throw it at face and just put opponent to 6. I really like
The
throwing it at the Raptor
Raptor.
because the Raptor has been holding off these goblins for basically this whole game.
Right, give them two more things to have to worry about.
Sacrificing Eldrazi, I don't think I should be sacrificing this spawn. I think I should just be sacrificing the commander here. But I guess opponent has no colorless mana showing, which means just having an extra 1 power creature in play might be relevant if they want to spend 3 mana. Well, find a colorless source and spend 3 mana to clear a 1/1.
Exactly.
We're okay with that.
And that would just, at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, it feels bad. It is an option,
Right.
But good lord, that's a lot of mana just to get rid of a 1/1.
Exactly. So now we're sitting here. We have 8 power in play regardless. Yeah, so opponent puts this on the Skyclaw. We should kite up the Spawn Gang Commander,
Okay,
and then all
yep.
of our creatures potentially attack for lethal. Okay, this works too. This is kind of a forced block on our Skyclaw.
Okay. So make them swing
we
with the
do this,
Skyclaw.
and then
Yeah.
we can also pump the commander this
Yeah.
way, and now everything is, yeah, we're getting in for 9 after blocks.
Everything fell in as it should.
Yeah. So yeah, again, the conduit goblins proving why they are such valued picks in the Boros deck. They gave 5 creatures haste over the course of that game.
Yep, and it's just that minimal use of, like, I think that's the part that makes them so strong, right? The minimal use of energy, like that
Yeah.
you need, the requirements, right? It's very low cost. It's it's not like it's like, oh, you need 2 energy to do this. No,
Right.
it's just the 1 energy,
Just
like,
the 1 each time.
So it gives you, there's a lot of value that's accrued there.
Yeah. Yeah, Charge Bug and Goblin just being 2 of the best cards for these energy-based aggressive decks.
I also want to point out that, like, it was not like, we were talking about the last move there too. Like, I think that's also something worth pointing out. The game plan, no matter how you looked at it, was going to, like, get us there, and being able to have those options with that that versatility being of just readily available. And either way you look at it, you're still shifting with
Yeah.
that game plan, and I think that's also, like, really good, worth pointing out and stuff. Like, it's nice to be able to, like, the deck it can come up with that even in, like, a late game situation where,
Sure.
like, you still have options even
Right,
in
right.
late game.
So we kept this opening hand of all 2 drops and 3 lands, and we were perfectly happy to do so. And then we got
fantastic.
nice and lucky and ripped one of our 1 drops off the top, so we get to curve out that much better. Feels real good. This repurposer obviously is annoying to try to block, considering it deals with our menace stuff. Here, we don't have good attacks because of the repurposer plus spawn token. We can shoot down the repurposer and give them extra mana, but that comes with its own risks. Yeah. But what it lets us do is just keep trying to-
pushing.
yeah. like, we know that we can try to set up a turn next turn where we can bestow the unicorn.
Mm-hmm.
So we know we can start putting counters out there. I think I don't care about that at all.
Nope. It takes crew 4, so we definitely
you
don't
can
care
also
about
pay energy to crew
pay
it.
the energy. Oh, is it the? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you can. It taps to make 2 energy. You can pay 3 energy and tap it to draw a card.
Mm-hmm.
And you can pay 2 energy and tap it to tap a creature. And then you can pay 4 energy to crew it.
Gotcha. Okay.
So Here we're just trying to figure out what we want to bestow this unicorn on. I think I just want to put it on the charge bug.
I feel like the charge bug.
Putting it on the charge bug is the creature that just default has menace rather than having to spend energy to give menace.
Exactly.
And by being able to start sliding +1/+1 counters onto the simulacrum, it'll start being able to attack into more dangerous boards. So we're in for 5 here. Opponent is already down to 16 just from virtue of the simulacrum, chunking in, just getting these little shots in. That's what he does. So opponent's down to 11. We have some reasonable plays. We can bestow a second unicorn, which is a lot. Like, it's not the highest impact play in the world.
Oh.
No, we do have the Stomp as a land if we really want. We also have this landscape that we can crack to get a landfall trigger.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's what I was looking at. As soon as it ripped the glyph, I was like, "Oh, we
Yeah.
have two triggers we know we can get."
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't really want to crack the landscape right now because I want to leave my colored mana open to see what my options are.
Okay.
Unstable amulet as draw a card functionally lets me see what I have access to. So yeah, right here we're going to bestow the Glyph Elemental. I think, this goes on the charge bug as well.
Mm-hmm.
If I hit land drops, the charge bug gets bigger. If the charge bug gets bigger, the Mentor lasts longer, putting counters on other things. So as long as we're continuing to kind of do this,
it helps us push and keep forcing.
Yeah, and if opponent just kills off our charge bug, that's fine.
Now we get a glyph elemental
and the unicorn.
And the unicorn
still.
still.
Like, our board just goes wider if our opponent deals with the charge bug. They can tap it basically every other turn with the battle wagon, unless they find some other source of energy. At this point, we're also up to 5 mana, so the Simulacrum's activated ability of shooting something for 4 starts to come into play.
Okay.
Against what looks like it's probably an Eldrazi deck, that doesn't necessarily do much.
No, it just gets rid of our Gallo.
Yeah, that's
it.
This is not the worst Rals that the Boros decks have ever faced.
Yeah. that actually does not feel like super bad.
No, I've been blown out way harder by that card.
Like, example, last game, that would have looked very bad.
Yeah, it would have been way worse. So what do we do with this Inventor? Like, we're going to play it. We know that. Do we just get 3 more energy because it's worth another card?
That's what I was about to say. I feel like if we can try to dig, right? Like, it gives us the option to dig more with the amulet.
Yeah, we can get 3 energy to dig more. We can put a counter on it to avoid another Rouse, which, quite honestly, there could be more than one.
It could be.
And we can just put we can put a third body into play because we are getting these Mentor triggers. And right now, opponent is just showing us the spawns. Past me went with the servo option, and I'm not positive that I necessarily agree. Knowing that I have this second unicorn in hand, and knowing that I can bestow it onto the Inventor and then, like, double Mentor onto the servo,
yeah,
certainly makes it look a little bit more appealing. Again, opponent is at 8, and we're just kind of chunking in. Opponent isn't doing anything. That means we get to double landfall here for the Glyph Elemental. We have two landscapes here. So now opponent is at 1. And we have an amulet that if we cast anything from exile, they die. And 3 attacking creatures, of which 2 of them at any given point get menace.
Yep.
This seems like a bad spot to be at 1.
And that's why I was like, I'm surprised he didn't. I don't know why he...
Like, presumably they have to have, like, a breaker of creation,
right?
Or something
That's what I was saying. They're trying to save up.
They need the 8th mana. That's the only thing I can think that would lead me to not jump here.
Yeah.
Because they have 7, and they've had 7 the whole time. So they, like, all of the other Eldrazi, like all of the other big Eldrazi besides the Titans and Breaker of Creation, cost 7 or less.
Yeah, okay.
So the only thing I can figure is that they have, like, a breaker that they need 1 more land for, or something along those lines. Also, you're more willing to go to 1 when you know you're going to gain 5 or 6 back.
I can see that.
Not that a breaker ultimately saves them here, though. Again, like we're presenting quite a bit by way of threats. That depth defiler is annoying, but I don't really care. If they bounce the charge bug again, I wind up with a 6/6 glyph elemental and a unicorn.
Correct. Ultimately, you're giving more bodies to have
Exactly.
to deal with.
Yeah, so for an opponent that's at 1, like that just doesn't.
Yeah, I have 2 creatures on board, and that would be a third creature, and you're going to give me more creatures than you have. I don't think I want to do that.
Right. And again, this is all discounting that if the amulet flips a spell, my opponent dies on the spot.
Exactly.
So they can tap something with the battle wagon. We know that. Worth noting, they don't have double blue at the moment, which means they can't
That's
even
right.
cast...
They can't even cast that, can they?
Sure. That's a SCOA that costs you 2 of your blockers. We kill off the inventor,
Just kill
right?
out the inventor.
It's got to
then?
be
Okay.
like that's the only play that makes any amount of sense. Yep, kill the inventor, and then maybe they have horrific assault, and they can shoot down the servo, but then they still can't block the charge bug. They can tap it, and then it's just does the amulet kill them? If they have horrific assault, then this line makes an amount of sense. It buys them a bit of time, but the fact that they had to sacrifice both of their Eldrazi means they don't even gain the 3 life.
Right.
And that's a tough way to do it. Yeah, okay, so this is definitely horrific assault. It highlighted both the SCOA and then the servo. So yeah, for sure this is horrific assault, but no Eldrazi, so no life gain. So we're priced into using the battle wagon to not die to the menace charge bug. And if this is a spell, the game's over.
Let's go.
That's a spell.
That's a spell.
Also, that's a spell that would have killed.
That's what would have killed him anyways. Oh, Flage, look at you coming in clutch.
I didn't even get to cast it. My opponent conceded first. I haven't cast my Flage yet.
I love the irony that that's what it was too, right?
Yeah.
Like either way, like the amulet would have killed you, or Flage itself kills you.
All right, so good start. We're 3-0 with this deck. Again, super low curve. I'm very excited to play this deck. If I draft Burrows, I want it to look like this almost
all the time,
explicitly.
And it like, I think that's the thing about it, right? Like I know we have energy, but and again, it just goes back to the whole thing. Like it's just the fact that the use and need for energy is so low that it's just convenient. If you use it, great. If you don't, it's just a convenience.
Yeah, like we're not the kind of deck that's stockpiling it to use for like the royal whatever, the pay 6 energy,
pay 6
draw
energy?
3 cards.
Yeah.
We're not trying to do anything like that. There is nothing in this deck that wants me to pay a pile of energy at any point. We don't even have a galvanic discharge to pay a bunch of energy into killing one giant thing, which is unfortunate. I would love a galvanic discharge. It is unfortunate.
I was about to say, it's still a good card, yeah.
Yeah, see, right here, I would love a galvanic discharge.
Just erase this guy.
Man, this card's probably going to kill me by itself.
It's definitely one of the better cards at this set, I feel like.
Guide of Souls has the highest when played win rate in the set, according to 17 Lands. Or at least it did like a month ago, and I haven't really checked since, but I can't imagine those stats go down by much. Guide of Souls is absurd.
It's, just a solid card all the way around.
So we're basically where we're trying to set up a Thraben Charm to shoot down the Guide of Souls. So right here, if opponent pays some mana and plays a dude, then we're maybe okay, except that they played a dude that gave them energy, and now they're probably just pumping the Guide of Souls right away. Yeah, this is bad for me.
Yeah, this is a little frustrating now.
So this is Guide of Souls into Hex Gold Slith to more or less ruin my life. Which, I mean, cheers to opponent.
Yep.
This is what you try to do,
That's
right?
what you do, yeah.
Like, believe me, if I had a Guide of Souls, I would be, very much doing the same thing given the opportunity. Guide of Souls into Conduit Goblin, don't mind if I do.
And that's something else I'd like to point out too about this set as well. Like I love the fact that if everyone feels better about playing energy this time around versus when it was first introduced. Like the cards are just really good this time around.
That Static Prison is so bad for me.
No, not the Goblin.
I'm not worried so much about the Goblin itself necessarily. What
Yeah.
I'm concerned with here is that they paid their energy, I think, by mistake. I don't think they meant to pay energy here. They did not need to give that Slith first strike. But I know if they're newer to the format, if they have been drafting, they got to Platinum, but they're not used to Modern Horizons 3, the way the Hex Gold Slith is worded, I could imagine them thinking that they needed to pay the energy or they don't get the +1/+1 counter.
Ah, okay, I could see that.
Yeah. But what this does, and this is unfortunate for the opponent here, unless they have an instant that gives them energy, their Static Prison is about to pop, and I'm going to get my Goblin back.
That is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Which is why, yeah, like that will definitely.
That's why I was
definitely
saying
a
I
mistake.
think this is,
Yeah.
this is, I don't think what opponent meant to happen here. That said, they have kept me off of having creatures in play for this Thraben Charm to shoot down their Guide of Souls. And we have unfortunately missed on a couple land drops in a row.
Yeah.
We
not
did
feeling
keep,
great.
We did keep a 2-land opening hand, but it was 2 landscapes, which meant we were also slightly thinning out our deck. We are playing a land light deck in the first place because we trimmed some lands because our curve is so low. So we know that we're going to have to play some number of games on two lands, and we're relatively okay with that in general.
Because we've stacked it to be so.
Yeah, I mean, look at our hand. We're not missing plays for the next 4 turns, even if we don't draw a land.
Correct.
So
we have something to do.
Exactly. Now, that said, we really need to kill that Guide of Souls.
Yes, we do. Because now he has flying.
So if I can't get this Thraben Charm to kill that Guide of Souls, we're going to be in danger. So, right now, if they attack with everything,
its own goblin.
well, so this gives the Slith flying now. So now both things are angels thanks to the Guide of Souls, assuming they don't burn the energy accidentally. They burn the energy with Conduit Goblin. Yeah, I don't know if opponent just isn't familiar with how this deck could be operating, but I'm getting my butt kicked either way.
Yes.
So there's that. But opponent is not making the most strategically impactful plays, I think. Yeah, so here we get to play a Simulacrum. We get to Thraben Charm down this Guide of Souls at some point. It doesn't have to be right this minute. It is an instant after all, and they do have mana up either way, so if they have something to do, then they're going to do it regardless. Right. But we do get to Thraben Charm down this Guide of Souls. We're going to do it in response to this Charge Bug before they get the extra life and the extra energy.
There we go. Go ahead and prevent this.
Yeah.
We're gonna make you shall not.
We're going to make this not true anymore. We can't really take another hit from the Slith unless we can we know we're drawing a land and we can trade the Sarpedian Simulacrum for it, even with an extra counter. We don't really have good blocks, yeah. So we're going to use an energy. Charge Bug has haste. We're probably going to use this other energy to give, yes, the Slith Menace.
Figured that was
I
coming.
agree with this. And now I kind of have to figure out some blocks.
Do you just want to double block the Slith?
I want to double block the Slith, and I want to trade with their Goblin.
Okay.
That's
what I was thinking too. Oh, well.
This doesn't actually change anything for me. This is, yeah, double block here, trade here.
Okay.
Yeah, so nothing actually changed except that I did lose the thing that would have been left over to be able to trade with whatever they had left over. But, they do have Menace, but we can play Inventor to make sure that we have 2 bodies so that we're not just dead to Menace. Yep, and you see past me just snap that off. Same line of thinking there. And opponent bricked for a turn.
Oof.
We're drawing lands, which, I mean, kind of had to happen eventually.
Yes.
We don't have a colorless mana, so we can't kick this Void Pouncer.
That makes me feel bad.
It's not the best, but, we can just put bodies in play. And we do have this mandibular kite so that we can start getting in. And now we're not necessarily afraid of anything menace-wise, right? Like, even if they have a creature with haste and they give both of them menace, as long as it's not a flying creature, we don't care.
Right.
This is the easiest block of my life.
I wonder.
Like, they got to have something. If it's a siege smash, then
is.
it's a siege
Okay.
smash, and it is what it is. We're still not dead. They still had to burn their thing.
Yep.
Blocking with the Void Pouncers doesn't really change that. Although, I mean, it does mean that I block with 3 power creatures and potentially we trade. But here we're just kind of, it is what it is, and we're going to try to close out this game. Yeah, they can't really attack.
Top deck mode.
Yeah. We're just playing creatures. We're not trying to get the value out of bestowing.
Nope.
They have 2 menace threats now, and they can pump both. So now we're not attacking because we need to be able to block both. That Gatekeeper is terrifying.
It is. Not thrilled to see that when we're sitting on 2.
Right. Yeah. So this is a little bit of an early concession here. I didn't need to concede in this moment.
I was kind of wondering because, like, I feel like we still had some options we could have drew, right? Like, there was a potential.
Yeah, well,
for an out.
like, opponents attack there, all 3 of their things have menace as far as we're concerned, which means we're going to take 1, so we're dead to any creature. But if they brick for a turn, then we're not dead, and we get to clear.
Probably.
Well, we clear one of the charge bugs and the first copy of the Gatekeeper.
There you go.
Which, again, not good. It means they still have a charge bug left, and the Gatekeeper comes back from the graveyard later.
But
But we're not dead.
we're not dead.
We're not
Correct.
just dead.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe a little bit of an early concession, but
And also,
I was very much in trouble that game.
and not to mention too, like if we had, by whatever the grace of the top deck gods, if you had just drew the Flage puts you back in the game.
Assuming our opponent doesn't kill us when we pass the turn. Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, if we pass the turn, opponent manages to not kill us, and we rip off the top after that, then yes. So yeah, I should have not conceded in that moment. This game's going. We used the landscape to make sure we had both of our colors, which again is what they're there for. We have a Flage that we get to murder and a Dryad with, so that feels pretty good. A Cursed Marauder traded with a Goblin, which is fine. And we're just, we're at parity, vibing.
I love the fact too that we've casted the Flage to do its thing.
We did,
and we have the land to already later so now our
when
late now
we
our
get
late
cards
game,
in our graveyard,
Yeah.
which will happen because we are
Exactly.
going to be attacking our opponent.
I just love that the late game for Flage is already it's already established now.
Yeah.
It's like this is great. Like this feels great.
So here's something really cool. We got to go double 1-drop into Thraben Charm to clear this expanding ooze. So
that feels good. And then you get to punch with him.
yeah, and then we get to boop. We get to boop the snoot.
Look at that. We're at 3.
Yeah, Flage check, right? That's
Flage,
what that is.
Flage check. Yep, we're at 3. We're at 3. We're getting there. The land will give us 4.
Yeah. Ghostfire Slice puts a thing in the graveyard. That's fine.
Now we got 5.
Yeah. So yeah, we can play the landscape. Yeah, we're checking the numbers. We know we want a card in the graveyard, so landscape, crack it. We can now flashback Flage as is. Nothing else needs to happen, which makes this a better play than any other option that we have because this card is nuts.
Yep.
And that's it. We did the thing, and we get to boop for 1 after this Lightning Helix.
Love it.
So opponent has 2 cards and needs to beat a Flage. And I feel really good about this.
No, this is fantastic. Like again, like just as soon as you rip the mountain, it's like God, this feels so good right now. Like
Better Gargantua. So opponent is at 15. So we have a couple choices here. And yeah, one of those choices is just putting a 2-turn clock on our opponent and making it very difficult for them to draw cards. What if we get in for 10 this turn?
it feels pretty good actually. I enjoy it.
Yeah. So now, like, opponent sure can draw 2. They found a Breathe Your Last. That clears the Flage for a second.
Okay.
It even gains them 2 life. I'm not blocking. It did cost them both of their black sources, so they can't do the thing right away. Here's the thing. I've got this Unicorn, which means I'm attacking for 3 right here.
And we're going to bestow this thing?
Yeah.
Yep. I'm here for that.
Yeah, bestow this thing. Please bestow this thing? Okay. Come on, me. All right. Bestow this thing in for 3. And then next turn we can equip the Mandibular Kite in for 4.
There we go.
And that is lethal if opponent cannot stop this germ. Drawing cards makes sense, but it does put them dead to me not having to spend any mana.
Okay.
But they do need to clear this germ, which was already true.
Right.
That doesn't do it.
Nope.
So this has to be like Horrific Assault or similar. It appears not to be.
It appears not. Okay.
So, yeah, the good old just apply pressure.
Just
put a clock on, yeah.
Full send.
Put a clock on and make opponent kill everything we do. And if they kill everything we do, we rebuy the Flage.
I almost was wondering too, like if another option could have been before we equipped the kite to the Flage. I understand it probably would have put us further back too, but I was also thinking the Unicorn on top of the kite initially.
Yeah, like
swinging with both.
We certainly could have, but that allows them to soak up a bunch of damage.
Right, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
Like, we lose like a little bit of the damage off of that.
Yeah, and I wasn't scared of them paying life to draw cards with the Gargantua when we're trying to present a 2-turn clock.
That's reasonable. Ooh.
Malevolent Rumble showing land, Idol of the False Gods. So yeah, we take one of the lands. Makes sense to me. We have another 2-land opener, but both of our colors thanks to a landscape.
It's just fantastic.
I mean,
go get the mountain.
I'm very happy with the mana base just in this very land-light aggressive deck. Like, it's just, we have 4 landscapes that all fetch both colors.
It's great.
So, like,
we can play the deck.
Yeah. We're sitting on, what, 5, 10, 11, and then 4. So, yeah, 15. 15 total lands proper plus a stomp. So.
And I'm loving that it's just like we're like body heavy.
Yes.
So we can just go into so many things.
Yeah, we have a Fanged Flames, double Thraben Charm, Flage, and Expel, I think? Or did we cut the Expel?
No, I think we cut the Expel on, if I remember correctly. I don't think you...
No, we had it in hand when the Obstinate Gargoyle was there, right? So it's in the deck somewhere.
I thought we used a Devoid.
We did, we had the Expel in hand,
okay,
I think.
Okay.
Anyway, regardless. Okay, so opponent played Marionette Apprentice and put a counter on it. I don't know that I've ever used that mode personally. I think I've fabricated a token every time. Unlike Marionette Master, the power of this creature doesn't impact what it does.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I'm pretty sure I've just made this a 1/2 that comes with a buddy and shoots you every time a thing happens.
Yeah, it feels I don't know, it feels a little bit better.
They might have just made it a 2/3 because they saw me with a Conduit Goblin. They know I'm playing a Boros deck, and a 2/3 is more obnoxious than a 2/2.
Right.
Or a 1/2, I mean. Like, that could very well just be why they did that. But they appear to be on, what, green-black here? So Golgari.
Green-black, Golgari.
So
yep.
It could also then, the Golgari deck is a modify deck. So, like, they might just care about the +1/+1 counter.
Stacking it up, yeah. I could see that.
Again, I don't know that I've ever not made the token, but that could just be the situations in which I've drafted the Marionette Apprentice.
Oh, good.
Hey, Flage clears that thing.
Hey, look, yeah. The thing that was annoying becomes less annoying.
I would like to cast this nigh unbeatable mythic rare, please.
Deal with it.
Now, let's be honest. We pack one, pick one to this card. So getting to play it in multiple games, like, this is why you pick one a card, right? Like, I didn't center my whole draft around this thing to not play it.
Feels super good.
Yeah. So we do need another white source to be able to get it back from the graveyard, but no stress there.
I figured something like that's what I was waiting on.
Yeah. That doesn't stop Flage from murdering a thing, though.
Sure does not. And I mean, quite frankly, that just it is just like filling up the graveyard for us and everything too. Oh,
That's an
okay.
island.
So now we are. So we're soul tie. Okay.
Yeah. So this, so I don't know. We're definitely green. We're definitely black, I think, and then maybe a
Ah,
blue
there we go. There's
splash.
a blue source. Okay.
So they have a lot of mana now. They could just be splashing for the Void Claws.
That'd be surprising.
I've done it. Like Void Claw, that thing's a Soul Ring, man. Like
Mm-hmm.
it also draws cards later in the game. Card's good.
Because based on like you just looked at his graveyard and everything, it's like definitely don't feel like he's got too many things that are blue in the deck.
Yeah,
So
I would be hard pressed to believe that there's a lot of blue cards in there. All right, so we would love to draw land here. We can follow this up with a kite, even if we miss on the land. And none of our other plays are particularly appealing. Yeah, all right, but now we're not doing anything with the last mana. Yeah, I don't love that.
well, past you apparently liked it.
I guess.
I'm like you though. I feel like there I would want to dig a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. Opponent is certainly starting to show some amount of pressure, right? Like they have all the mana in the world. They can activate this Fetid Gargantua right now. They have a tutor that's going to go off in a turn or two. And they have the counter from the Wither and Bloom to trigger the Gargantua again. So, I'm not feeling wonderful about this. We can stop the tutor, but that doesn't do anything about drawing extra cards with the Fetid Gargantua.
Yeah.
See what we find. Fanged Flames would have been nice a while ago.
Yeah.
Not really doing anything right now.
Before we went to do the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, don't do that. Okay. Good old misclick. Attack all into the 6/6. Let's go. Alright. So we have a Fanged Flames. So our turn might be good. It is possible for our turn to be pretty powerful.
A land would be nice.
Yes, but if opponent doesn't use the Wither and Bloom counter on the Fetid Gargantua now, we get to Thraben Charm down the 6/6. Because we have 3 creatures. We get to Fanged Flames down the Void Craw.
Okay.
And then it's just, I guess, whatever they find off of
The tutor itself.
the hunger that costs them all of their insects. So it's a 3-drop that they can find, basically.
Right.
I forever have to double check Thraben Charm to make sure that it doesn't say artifact or enchantment. It doesn't. It doesn't. I can't kill that Dread Mask as is. They're putting a counter on the Germ instead of the Gargantua, and that to me feels weird. Like, I can't imagine not just wanting 2 more cards.
Yeah, I feel like I would want the card draw over pumping a germ.
Yeah, that said, I'm way behind this game. Like, I don't know if I can claw back into this game. I know it starts by using Fanged Flames on a Void Claw and then hoping to hit a land off of this amulet.
Okay.
Boop you. Shoot that. And activate amulet.
Give me a
Land, please? Not a land.
No, not land.
And now we're sad because we're going to take a giant hit because we can't do anything about that Dread Mask.
Yeah.
We can, again, we still have this Thraben Charm. We can clear one of these large creatures. They're going to likely sacrifice their tokens. They did not sacrifice their tokens. They actively just chose not to sacrifice anything. That Propagator Drone is about to make my life miserable.
Oh, yeah.
Now the 6/6 also has trample. Yeah.
Yeah, that hurts. Yep.
Makes way more sense why they didn't sacrifice anything. Anyway, get me out of here.
Yep. Ah, that was rough.
Yeah, that one didn't go so well. Also, we were, that last pip away from breaking into diamonds, so now we got to win 2 more in a row.
Yeah.
But it's fine. This deck is good. This deck sure feels like a deck that can bring home a trophy. So
Realistically, they just getting halted off on the one land was making a little bit of a difference there.
yeah, but again, I am playing a land light deck very much on
Correct.
purpose.
Yeah.
So Sometimes that's going to happen, and if it does happen, we realistically cannot be upset about it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, opponent is off to a very good start.
Yeah, getting Cranial Ram right out the gate. Let's go, boys.
Yeah, on the play, one drop into Cranial Ram.
Let's
Like,
go.
this is a very, very good start.
It's
Now,
like,
one thing I
sir.
can say is that this Goblin blocks that Transmogrant just fine.
Mm-hmm.
And this Inspired Inventor token sure trades with that Germ token
It
real
sure
well.
does.
Um,
Take no blocks.
No blocks, take the 3.
Mhm.
If my Goblin is holding off that Transmogrant, then that's just fine by me.
It's great.
Here's 2 more bodies. Your attacks are way worse now.
Deal with
Um,
it.
I can give a thing haste. I'm not gonna. Yeah. So we are unfortunately playing on defense in our Boros aggressive deck, which
Yes.
is never like ideal. It's not where you want to be.
Get going. Another one.
Yeah, but like this attack is fine, right? We only take 1. We get to just block and
Didn't
block. For what it's worth, I should have put the Inventor in front of the Germ instead of the Goblin, just in case they did have a way of bumping it. I'd rather keep the.
Oh, yeah, so we actually keep the Goblin instead. Yeah, that makes sense.
It turned out to not matter. We drew our best card again, so cheers to us. We're the best.
Get out of here.
Yeah. At this point, I don't even care about clearing the Germ. I just want to make them pay 4 mana to have a body again. Like, I don't mind that they
Okay.
can get the body back. I just want to make them spend a bunch of mana to do it.
Right, I could see this.
In for 2, because if they draw the land and get to pump a bunch, then we're going to be sad, and they choose to block, so we're just going to let this happen.
Okay, there we go.
That seems like a strange block to me.
Yeah.
They do have the land, so if they had gone no block and then just double equipped, my Inventor can't block well. This makes more sense now, right?
Yeah.
So
He's gonna-
okay,
he's
we
gonna
now
lose it
Yeah, we
anyways.
know why
Yeah.
they didn't do the thing. How many cards are in my graveyard? That's a thing I should be checking since I have this Flage hanging out over here. It wasn't highlighted, so I assume I didn't have enough cards. You know, little tip for Arena. If your card
There
isn't
you go,
Highlighted,
yeah.
Arena's telling you can't cast it.
Oh, Arena doing things right sometimes.
But this Glyph Elemental is going to be good. Just bestowing onto the Menace creature obviously does some things. That's the 3rd Drawsclaw, which is wild. That's so many Drawsclaws.
It's hilarious.
Like, that Cranial Ram is what, +4, +1?
Yeah.
Like, that thing's a 5/2.
Jesus.
Hey, there's that Expel.
Oh, there's the Expel, so we do
I
have
told
it.
you it was in the deck
Got
somewhere.
it. We got there.
Alright, anyway, we're going to bestow this thing. Shoot you for 1. Activate this thing. Try to find another land. That's a castable card, I guess. That's fine. So we can go double spell with Simulacrum and Mandibular Kite. Or we can just expel, or we can just Thraben Charm and get rid of this
Yeah,
thing.
but I say I feel like I would want a Thrabian Charm it just to.
I like using the Thraben Charm here because we know they have the Transmogrant that they're probably going to bring back at some point, and having the Expel just ready to exile that after they spend their turn
doing this.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that definitely feels like the proper play. Like, because like
Yeah,
again,
so they're going to tap out,
like
and
going
then we
back.
get there's a land, and not only is it a land, but it's 2 lands. It's 2 lands. It fills up the graveyard. Like, I think we should be paying. Yeah.
There we go.
Manual tap. Thanks,
right.
auto tapper. Stop messing with me.
Stop trying to make me do things.
Oh.
What did you decide to do instead?
Well, I mean, we get this trigger no matter what, right?
Okay. So
This makes sense. I don't need 2 landfall triggers right now, and this gives me access to being able to play all of my spells. Now we can go haste guy, ping you, draw a card, or whatever, draw a card.
Oh.
And now I can either go double 1-drop or Conduit Goblin here. I like just getting more stuff in play and getting this game as over with as I possibly can.
Okay.
Here's 2 energy. It equips for free. We can slap it onto this charge bug, which already has menace, making it a pain in the butt. In for 5. Opponent has 1 card in hand. We'll save our 2 energy so that we can activate this amulet again. We have the Conduit Goblin coming down next turn. We have the Barbarian Ring. That's getting close. Although the Flage is likely to burn out our graveyard before the Barbarian Ring matters.
Exactly.
But I'm pretty sure that the landscape is the last card we need to be able to play the Flage again. If I saw that right.
I believe so. Yeah, I think we were on 5 in the graveyard total, so yeah, we need one more.
Yeah. So cracking the landscape lets me play the Flage as is. Breather West and the Charge Bug, sure, we still have our Glyph Elemental.
Yep, Glyph Elemental still being there.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's go.
Pop this landscape. Get this thing. Yeah, so the Barbarian Ring conveniently was tracking our graveyard for us, so if I had been paying attention, I could have just looked at that. But yeah, this just rebuy Flage, shoot down the Marionette Apprentice, don't actually care that much about all of your equipment, because we have bodies. Yeah.
There we go. Not the servo.
Honestly, shooting down the servo is one less artifact, but I don't think that's particularly relevant here.
Yeah, not on 1 mana available to him.
Okay. So this is just me being aggressive. Rather than wanting an extra card, we're just getting extra damage in here.
Okay.
But our opponent is at 11, and having this 3-power flyer plus the Flage that can be triggering. Yeah. So this is just, opponent, you need to kill everything or be dead, please.
Yeah, unfortunately, top
that
deck...
card does not kill everything.
Yep, top deck life right now is not too happy.
Yep.
Sure.
You got it. Sure. Yep.
Still gonna swing into it.
Anyway,
Swing.
I would like to... oh, yeah. I thought the Goblin could go face for some reason, and then read it and was like, oh, now I'm sad. Anyway.
Yeah, he knew.
Well, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah,
like, there's
doesn't.
no 2 things that they can block to not be dead, especially when I'm
Exactly.
throwing 3 damage around. Like, just with the Flage.
As an attack trigger.
Yeah, as an attack trigger. So.
Titans be good sometimes,
Yeah,
yeah.
I did think the Goblin could go face at the time. I believe this was the draft where I learned that Goblin says creature.
It's like, oh, like not a good boy. Okay, got it. Sorry,
Like-
you can still punch things.
Like, that, it's still probably the best Raging Goblin we've had in a very long time, if
I
not
will
ever.
say that, yeah, because it gives you another option to deal with creatures and stuff. And because I think that's like the thing to think about, right? Like it shoots for 4.
It's a lot.
That's a lot, yeah. Like
It does cost
really
4
good.
mana to do it.
But
But you have a 1/1 that's been attacking for a bunch of turns before that matters.
exactly.
And, like, drawing that card late, you remember back in Shards of Alara, those cards that, like, you could cycle for 1,000,000 mana and it basically just tripled the effect?
Yes.
Yeah, so, like, you could pay, like, 2 or 3 mana to get a shock or a bolt or whatever it was, but if you cycled it for, like, 7, you got, like, 5 damage off of it.
And it was great.
And it was great. Now, we're not quite in that timeline anymore. We've moved on from that.
Yeah.
But this card as a top deck is still 5 mana, deal 4 damage, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Like, red 3, deal 4 damage to a creature. Okay. That's not the most exciting card I've ever heard of, but it sure does kill people.
And it makes you feel better too about like when you get to positions in the game where if you can't necessarily swing in there with it, it is still there and can do something.
Correct.
Which makes you feel so much better about playing the card.
Yeah, it's also an instant speed activation, which means it can be a chump blocker on something while shooting down something else.
Yep.
So we drew a landscape, which is probably our best draw, given this Glyph Elemental that we wanted to play this turn anyway.
Heck yeah.
So we're just gonna, just
Get
jam
in
for
there.
4.
That's right. Let's get in there.
Oh
man, I love that card.
I don't love grabbing the second white source here, but I guess I intend to play this Stomp as a land.
The option's there.
Yeah, I have my 5-drop in hand. There's almost no world where I'm not playing this as a land.
Yeah. Plus with the Glyph Elements already being out and
Yeah.
and starting to ramp up anyways.
Yeah. That card only has haste when you pay colorless mana for it, unfortunately. I mean, we can give it haste with the Goblin, but opponent also passed the turn without doing anything, which means
There we go.
we just want to pass and go. They should have waited till we declared the
The
attacker.
tax.
'Cause,
Yeah.
they might not have realized that the Glyph Elemental kind of falls off there. But
Yeah, and falling off does not mean it gets like a reactivation of summoning sickness.
Right. Yeah, it's been in play the whole time.
The whole time.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, here we go. We didn't know what our opponent had. If it was a Wither and Bloom, we didn't really just want to throw the Void Pouncer down there and have it get Wither and Bloomed when we use an energy to give it haste. So
That makes sense.
we probably should have played the Stomp Stomp as a land ahead of time, though, because we would have gotten the trigger on the Glyph Elemental either way.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless, if our opponent wins this game at 1 life, it's our fault.
I'm feeling good about it. I mean, we still got a unicorn, and we still have a fang flames available.
This thing's massive, by the way. Like,
Oh yeah.
also it's bigger.
What if I bestow the bestow creature?
Well, like, I need to mentor, right? And if I bestow onto the Void Pouncer, it can't mentor.
Mm-hmm.
And all I need is this one token to be able to, or this one counter to be able to run through this germ token.
Absolutely.
If opponent's using a kill spell on this Void Pouncer, I'm totally okay with that when I have an 8/8 attacking. Like, what do? You no block and get chunked for half your life? Sure. Like, I have a Spawn Gang commander. This game ends very quickly.
Almost makes me wonder if he didn't because he still has like another removal or something.
Maybe.
Like that's the only
Very
thing I could
be.
assume. Yeah.
But like, yeah, a lot of the removal in Black and Red is conditional. There is unconditional. Like, you have Breathe Your Last, you have Fell the Profane. You certainly have the ability to just kill anything. But no, like, so far they showed us the Consuming Corruption, and we know about Wither and Bloom just as one of the premium removal spells in the format. And then in Red, you have things like Fanged Flames, Galvanic Discharge, the Reiterating Bolt. That Accursed Marauder as a tutor target is very cool. I'm definitely vibing on opponent finding that. Anyway.
And it makes sense why he went to go get it, but however, we're about to upset his whole world a little bit, though.
Well, not exactly, right? So they're gonna get to a Cursed Marauder, which is gonna make us sacrifice a non-token creature. So if we play the Spawn Gang commander, we're gonna wind up sacrificing it or the Glyph Elemental. And, like, neither one of that makes me particularly happy. We're gonna attack here. Like, this is just free. Yep. Okie dokie.
Get out of here.
Yeah, they play Marauder.
Mm-hmm.
We sacrifice...
The command... Well...
That's the trick, right?
Do we do
Which one do we sacrifice?
Well, I mean, we still have Fang Flames in play.
Okay, so now we... Alright, so we activate the Spawn Gang commander. We throw the commander at the Grim Servant.
Yep.
And then they play the Accursed Marauder, which leaves them with 1 mana left over. And we still have the Nyxborn Unicorn, which can mentor onto this Scion token, which is exactly 3.
And we still have a
and we have the
Simulacron in hand,
yeah,
too.
exactly.
So,
like...
Feels fine. I mean,
yeah, like, we don't have lethal anymore, which is worse. But we're doing okay.
Bestow things.
Yeah. In with this guy. Attack with all these things. Make this Scion actually deal combat damage. Go, Scion, go. And now we have, like, two 4 toughness creatures covered, with our opponent being at 1. So if any of our creatures survive, like, if our opponent's plan is just to block, we have both the Simulacrum that can sacrifice and the Fanged Flames.
Either way, yeah, going down to 1 is definitely just... I think it's cemented the position. Yeah.
Yeah, like, you can't Toxic Deluge your way out of it, and that's the only black sweeper. And there we go, we hit Diamond.
Got there. Hey! So.
And this was, again, these drafts were from June. I do have all of my drafts from July recorded, and it's just going to be a matter of getting them edited down and ready to post. I will be making a separate playlist for that. Cell phones on while recording, Chris?
I know, that's like the blasphemy. I should know better.
Alright, we have an opening hand. This opening hand has a bunch of cards and 2 planes, and this is not great. Yeah, yeah, I guess. I'm not sure what the mindset here is. I think it's that I need to draw lands to win with this hand anyway, and I have the Glyph Elemental that I can bestow onto this Unicorn.
Right.
And if I don't draw lands, I'm going to die regardless. Which is not the best mentality in the world, I gotta be honest. I think present me would be a little bit more judicious and mulligan this. But, like, if we draw a red source right here, we actually feel kind of like a baller for keeping this hand.
I'm just curious. You didn't mulligan, right?
I did not mulligan.
Okay. So I think like the better question here is like despite what we do have presently, like before you even drew, like
That's bad for me.
what gave you the confidence though to just roll with that, knowing that we didn't have the mountain in hand?
I don't have a good answer for you because
Okay.
present me thinks it's a mistake.
Okay, yeah,
So
that's
whatever the hell past me was thinking, present me doesn't agree with.
right,
We did just rip a landscape, so this Glyph Elemental is going to get to go kind of nuts on this Unicorn.
which is fun.
We can also just, expel the Unworthy or Fang Flames this Glaring Fleshraker before it rakes me over the coals.
There you
Pun
go.
intended.
Yep.
Now the thing is, we're going to on purpose skip this land drop.
Mm-hmm.
Because we want
We
to
want
get
the
this.
Glyph Elemental. Yep.
Writhing Chrysalis is awful.
What a card.
This is
Turns out card's good.
yeah.
It's okay. We're still going to do the thing.
Yeah, our thing is just worse
Yeah.
now. So yeah, here's this landscape. We have a 4/4. We can't attack. We're just gonna make this thing a 4/4 before we pass priority. This way, if our opponent does have like Galvanic Discharge or Reiterating Bolt as their removal, they can't just clear my thing.
Right.
Obviously, Fanged Flames would still clear it just fine. They used a Fanged Flames already, so it would be their second one. But yeah, we are going to have to find a way to beat this Writhing Chrysalis, and it's certainly doable. Like our Unicorn is going to keep up with the Chrysalis in terms of size without our opponent committing more things, right? Like right now that thing is a 4/5, and we have the land rolled up, so we know that we have a 5/5.
Right. And plus, we still have our own Fang Flames as well.
Yes. That said, it's very difficult to try to get a Fanged Flames to clear Chrysalis because once these tokens go, the Chrysalis gets bigger.
Yeah.
So just that 3 toughness base on Writhing Chrysalis is so good. There's a reason that this common has a higher win rate than almost every card in the set. Horrific Assault is not good for me, but we at least get to keep a 4/4 around.
Makes you feel a little bit better about it.
Yeah, I mean, like, we weren't mentoring anyway, right? So, like,
Yeah.
this thing being a 4/4, and the fact that they burned their Scion tokens without actually getting use out of the mana puts us in a much better place than this game could be, potentially. Like,
Also-
don't get me wrong, it's not good. We're not happy about it.
but there's a silver lining there.
The silver lining is that our opponent did not use their Writhing Chrysalis mana to cast a 7-drop.
That's what I was like, because you're looking at the rest of the mana, it's like that's a lot of mana you had available,
it's a lot of mana.
and just burned it all. So
Yeah. Yeah, so knowing that they don't have anything gigantic, right, and not having to be scared of anything gigantic, my mind goes to, we can race.
Okay.
All right, so now we have an evasive thing, and we have a thing that's bigger than their Eldrazi, and we have an evasive card that can also grow potentially.
And plus we got the energy off of it as well, so
Right.
we could slam the amulet and start trying to dig too if we
Yes.
wanted to.
Yeah, so if opponent wants to race, we are happy to accommodate given how this game is going so far. They did gain a bunch of life. They gained life off of the Horrific Assault and something else. I don't remember what.
Ooh,
That's a large thing.
that was a very large thing.
They did.
We digging, boys.
It only sort of drew one card though.
Yeah, because we had
had
3.
two.
We had 2
Yeah.
left. Yeah. I mean, I get well. We could see it if you had like you can't scroll over it, but like I guess like maybe like what was it he had in his hand?
Yeah.
Like was it just 2 lands or something? Was it you know?
All right. So this thing's large. We do have a Fanged Flames.
We do have Fang Flames.
If we can get our opponent to block, we can just trade off and just like clear this big dumb thing. That said, it did draw them cards.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what we find off the amulet. That's always going to be step one, right? Okay.
Hey.
Thraben Charm's neat. We're at 12.
Mm-hmm.
Taking a hit from the Heragast is half of our life total. But we have this Thraben Charm here. We also have a chump blocker if we really want with the Skyclaw.
So what do you think? Like, that's what I was about to say. Like, what do you think? Like, hold back, let the Skyclaw go in.
Nah, just get in.
Just
See
go
if our
in all the
opponent
way.
wants to trade.
Okay.
We're not going to use our energy. Like this, this thing's attacking as is. So if opponent wants to block, we're going to trade the Fang Flames. We don't really want the 6/6 that can potentially just kill us.
Right.
Yeah, here we go.
Okay.
So they blocked,
So
so
they
we get to
blocked,
use the Thraben Charm to deal 4 damage, and we even get to keep the Fang Flames.
Mm-hmm.
There's not much that I'm worried about with our opponent having green and 1 up. Like, there's the thing that gives hexproof and indestructible, but if they have that, then we're going to be screwed kind of no matter what happens.
Exactly.
So, yeah, the fact that they just went to block the flying creature there, and that let us kind of trade here, is about as much as we could have hoped for, I guess. Unstable Amulet, see if we can't grow to be a 6/6. We can't. That's a little awkward. That thing has Annihilator 1.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to... It's like, don't want to go down, but it's like, it's frustrating.
Yeah, so again, we're going to be aggressive.
And just see if we can force the Fang Flames.
Well, it also exiles, because that's the one that can rebuy itself from the graveyard.
Yeah. Oh, this...
Yes.
Right.
So if, like, at this point, I'm willing to trade off the Glyph Elemental and the Fang Flames for it to get rid of it.
Yeah.
So I actually remember this interaction in particular. So opponent is going to attack because there's no reason not to.
Right.
We're going to sacrifice the amulet to the Annihilator trigger because we need our lands and we need our bodies. We're trying to kill our opponent, right? Without spoiling much, I think opponent didn't realize a truth that they're going to find out here momentarily. So we're going to sacrifice this amulet. We need our creatures.
Yep. And plus we have the Goblin, so we can put the energy to use.
We have the Goblin. We can put the energy to use. More importantly, we have 4 lands in play and the Spawn Gang Commander exiled.
Oh, yes, we sure do.
So we would love to draw a land here at some point, right? So the question is do we want to chump block or not? And I legitimately don't know the answer. So here's the thing. I think we have to.
Yeah.
So that Shifting Woodland needs 1 more card type in the graveyard to turn on, but if it turns on, it can turn into a Heragast.
Yeah.
Which means that land is a 6/6 with flying at some point.
And
so going to 6 kind of scares me. That said, they don't have 2 green sources yet, so they can't actually activate it even if they do have Delirium.
This is true.
Yeah, and I'm just sitting over here trying to figure out how to kill my opponent.
Oh, they do have the landscape.
They do have a landscape, but they already have a land in their graveyard.
Okay.
So first and foremost, we got to figure out what we're sacrificing, and we're sacrificing the
amulet. Yeah, that's fine.
And then second, and honestly, I was trying to figure all of this out all at the same time, so that I just once I made a decision, we made the whole decision.
Yeah.
And we decided not to block because we are in fact trying to pressure our opponent. Opponent has a Fanged Flames that clears my Goblin, which is certainly good for my opponent. So we draw a land here, and a landscape at that. So we are potentially representing 2 +1/+1 counters on this Glyph Elemental. And here's where I think we learn that my opponent doesn't understand how the amulet actually works.
Oh, right, because it doesn't. You don't. Just because the amulet is gone
doesn't mean I can't cast.
Doesn't mean you can't cast it. Correct. Yeah.
So this is all face-up information. So my opponent here could have, and I fully expected them to. I was trying to figure out how to actually win this game. But my opponent could sacrifice this landscape, make a spawn token, and then chump block with it. And they choose not to block, which leaves them literally dead on board.
Oh, yo.
Because the Spawn Gang Commander comes down, we sacrifice the spawns to throw a different spawn.
Yo. That sucks.
Yeah, so I think opponent thought that because I sacrificed the amulet that I couldn't cast the Spawn Gang Commander.
And that makes sense because there's so many cards
Yeah.
in Magic that says you have to use the item,
Right,
and
it's tied to
tied
this
to
item
it.
in some
Yep.
form or fashion. So like that one, like
That's so
I don't even
unfortunate.
like feel good about that win because I think my opponent just didn't know
Didn't
how the card
realize
works.
it. Yeah.
That said, so let's skip all of that. We're attacking with a very large creature, right? Our opponent should have gone and found a green source, and then chump blocked with a Scion, and then they have a menace creature and a 6/1 with Annihilator.
Yep.
Okay. We have enough blocks to be able to clear that.
Right.
And if they attack with everything, they die to the Glyph Elemental. So they kind of have to figure out how they're going to play defense as well.
Right.
Right?
And
So I think that even through that, just the fact that the Glyph Elemental had gotten so big and that we were going to be able to cast the Spawn Gang Commander that turn, even if my opponent is attacking, I don't think that they can beat the board that I've set up. Because if I get to untap with the Spawn Gang Commander, I also have the landscape that can start spending mana that way to throw more than one Scion at yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that I win that game anyway, but the fact that my opponent, again, I'm going to give them, I think they didn't understand how the interaction worked.
Yeah.
Like
and that's completely reasonable because, again, most things in Magic,
Yeah.
card is exiled with card, tied to card.
All of that said, we got a trophy.
Yeah, we sure
That's
did.
7 wins.
That's right. We sure did. We got there.
Flage got the job done. We got to cast Flage several times throughout that event. So again, we kind of took our first pick. We stuck to our guns maybe a little too much even.
but we still got a trophy.
We wound up with a pretty good Burrow Stack triple Conduit Goblin, very, very, very low curve. Like, we had to pull our 2-drops into 2 columns to be able to see all of them.
And it was nice being able to get like the picking up like the secondary, like multiple of a single card removal, right? Like, so we got like
Yes.
the double Thraben Charm,
Double
in there.
Thraben Charm, Expel the
Expel
Unworthy,
yeah.
Fanged Flames,
So
double
nice.
Simulacrum that can act as removal, the Flage itself, and the Spawn Gang Commander.
Like that feels really good being able to pick up like the multiples like that
Yes.
as well.
But yeah, Chris, I appreciate you joining me for this.
Absolutely, man.
And thank you everybody for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Enjoy.